board on this computer. And we are going to share this presentation, share computer sound. Sounds good to me. Let's get
Oh, let
started.
me turn my phone off. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Let me make sure mine's off.
Are we ready?
Yeah, would you like to start us out like
Yep.
you did?
Yes. Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Mrs. Bueno Cruz again.
And Mr. Matt.
Welcome back.
We have another lesson for you in our digital citizenship program. I think a very important one for this day and age. Mrs. Bueno Cruz, would you like to introduce our subject of learning today?
Yes, it's very important, like Mr. Matt said, and this is about cyberbullying. So we talk a lot about bullying, and I'm sure you've all had some type of class or discussion about bullying, but we need to really talk about cyberbullying, which we're going to talk about here shortly, explaining what exactly is the difference between bullying and cyberbullying.
Because there is a difference.
Yes, right. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. And I want you to really, try to put yourself in the situation as the person who is being cyberbullied. Because again, it all goes back to being behind a screen and not really being face to face with someone, which makes it a little easier for somebody to cyberbully someone else, which we'll talk about here shortly.
So let's start with our learning objectives. So step one, the one we're working on first, is to recognize similarities and differences between being mean, in-person bullying, and cyberbullying. So we're going to talk about what all those different terms are. But we know, like, kind of what I would say, like, is traditional bullying, like things that would happen maybe at school or maybe in your neighborhood that's in person versus bullying that goes on when you're online. So we'll talk about the similarities and differences of those. Number two, we're going to empathize with the targets of cyberbullying. And so we hear about this term empathy a lot. So we'll talk about what it means to empathize with someone that's going through cyberbullying. And then number three, we're going to identify strategies for dealing with cyberbullying. So say you're the person who's being cyberbullied. And then we can learn about how we can be upstanders for those that are being bullied. So maybe you're seeing someone online getting cyberbullied. What can you do to help them and not just be a bystander? So those are our three objectives for today. All right. If I can advance the slide. There we go. So, Mrs. Bueno Cruz, would you like to talk about our essential question?
Yes. So what is cyberbullying and what can you do to stop it? So again, I briefly spoke about, a lot of you are probably familiar with bullying, but we're going to talk a little bit about what is cyberbullying and how can you stop it. And I believe we're going to watch a quick video.
Well, we have a couple of things first, Mrs. Bueno Cruz.
Oh, sorry.
Video. That's okay. That's usually how it goes with these lessons. But first, we're going to talk about just in-person bullying. So as you're brainstorming, think about what are the differences between joking, being mean, and bullying. And so we have some up here. So when we think about joking, so you guys are looking at the column on the left. What does it mean to joke around with someone, Mrs. Bueno Cruz, if we're just joking around? Is that a bad thing? Is it a good thing?
Well, most of the time when you're joking with someone, you're not trying to intentionally hurt them. You're just joking. You're laughing. You're also not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. And either you're laughing with them or you're laughing at them.
Right. And there's kind of a difference between laughing with and laughing at, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
So it can be a little mean.
Yes, it can be. And I think sometimes when someone is being laughed at, either they'll join and go along laughing as well at themselves, but maybe deep down inside, their feelings are being hurt. But they continue to go along with the laughing because, they don't want to make it to seem like it's a big deal.
Yeah, or that it's easier just to go along with it.
Yes.
And I think the thing about joking is joking happens among friends. And so if you have a relationship or a friendship with someone and you know each other well, you can poke fun at each other, but you can't really joke around with people you don't know.
Right.
And so
Because
it's
you don't
like,
know. Sorry,
maybe
go ahead.
I'll joke around with my brother about things that if I said that to a stranger, it would hurt their feelings. But it's like, well, me and my brother, we have this connection, like we know each other.
Right. Mm-hmm. And
And
then
so,
the next column we have being mean. This is when someone is intentionally trying to hurt someone, the target. They might hurt them verbally by saying mean things. They might hurt them emotionally. And then the last one, physically, where you're actually maybe hitting someone physically, and that's being mean.
right.
And
And I think the big thing about that, that might be like a one-time thing. So when we're talking about being mean, that's just like you said a hurtful remark, you said something mean about someone's appearance, you actually like physically harm someone. If it starts becoming a pattern thing or it's a habit where you are regularly being mean to someone, that turns into what is bullying. And so you're using your power over someone to be mean repeatedly. And so oftentimes it's easy for people to bully others if there is some sort of difference. I know we're going to discuss a little bit about why people bully, but it's this pattern of maybe it's happening every day at a certain time of day, maybe a certain class. When you're interacting with that person, that bullying can happen over time. And so now we have a quick video that talks about what cyberbullying is. So as you're listening, I want you to hear about what the narrator is saying about cyberbullying. And according to the video, what is cyberbullying? So open up your ears and listen.
When we're mean, we might say or do things that hurt others. We might be feeling angry, upset, or jealous. It could happen once, or maybe even twice. Being mean is not okay, but bullying is much worse. Bullying is when someone uses their power repeatedly to hurt or upset someone. It could be hurting them physically or calling them names and saying hurtful things. So then, what's cyberbullying? Cyberbullying's like bullying, but it happens on the internet or on a device like your phone, which can make it kind of different. With cyberbullying, it can feel harder to escape because it can happen anywhere, anytime. Also, it's easier for cyberbullies to hide who they are. Plus, other people online could see what's happening and even gang up on someone. If you see someone being bullied, in person or online, what can you do? Give them support. It helps to show that you care. Be an upstander. Stand up for others and say something to the bully. Report what you see and tell a trusted adult. So, what will you do if you see cyberbullying?
All right. So, what did you see the definition of cyberbullying be, Mrs. Bueno Cruz, from that video? Mrs. Bueno Cruz?
hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Oh,
Sorry, guys. A little technical difficulty. So cyberbullying, like we said in the previous slide, it is like a repeated behavior, right? Because we all have our moments. Maybe you're having a bad day, you're tired, you're stressed out, and sometimes you might lash out at someone. Like if I'm having a bad day, sometimes I might say something I don't mean, and I'm unintentional. I'm not trying to be mean, but sometimes it comes out and then I'm mean. But cyberbullying or bullying in general, it's when the bully makes a choice to be mean on a regular basis to this person. And so we're talking about cyberbullying. Mrs. Bueno Cruz, are you still with me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I don't know why I was on mute, but that's okay. Yes,
so that's okay.
Okay, so cyberbullying is when you're on a digital device, phones, tablets, any kind of app used to intimidate, harm, or upset someone. So you're not doing it face to face, you're using a digital device, like I said, behind a screen, to hurt, feelings hurt, harm, or upset someone.
So what might be some examples of cyberbullying online, Mrs. Buena Cruz? Like, where might this happen? Maybe on Instagram, someone saying something in the DMs, maybe, or maybe
Yes.
in a post?
Yes, and that happens a lot. I'm sure some of you have been in situations where either you see someone cyberbullying someone else on Instagram, Snapchat, sending private messages, people screenshotting other people's messages and kind of egging it on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're not the one involved, but you're also going along with it by passing it on to someone else, sending it to someone else, or possibly maybe you are the one that's kind of egging it on by making comments that you think are a joke, but that kind of stirs the pot a little bit and adds fire to the fuel, where all other people join in and start making posts or comments about whatever is happening in that situation.
Mm-hmm. And I think the thing about this happening online is it turns it into a bigger issue. I think back in the day when there wasn't social media, if you had someone that was bullying you, maybe it was just at school or maybe it was just in the neighborhood, but at least you could get away from it. But with cyberbullying, the internet's 24/7 and we have
Yes.
access to it all the time. So if this is going on and you are experiencing cyberbullying, it's always with you because we always take our phones with us or we're always checking our different social media apps.
Right. And it continues and people are screenshotting and they keep passing it on. And like Mr. Matt said, it feels like it kind of doesn't go away because we have our phones or our other types of media on us all the time.
And so, yeah, cyberbullying does not feel good. And so if you have experienced this before, I'm sorry that you've experienced it. But we want to talk about ways that you can stand up for yourself or stand up for others that are being cyberbullied, because no one should go through this. It's not a fun experience. And actually, it's really an unkind thing to do to others. We already know that there's a lot of negativity in the world, and we don't want to add to it. And so let's talk about the different players in a cyberbullying situation. So first we have a target. And so if you guys know, like think about Target, the store, their logo is literally a target, right? And so the person who is on the receiving end of the bullying. And so the bully has identified this person as the person they want to bully. That's the person they're going to say unkind things to, as a person they might be physically hurting. So maybe they're pushing them in the hallway. When we're talking about cyberbullying, though, it's not going to have any physical aspect to it. It's all going to be either verbal or emotional. It's all through text or even through like maybe video. When we talk about the bully, obviously the person who's doing the bullying. And Mrs. Bueno Cruz, is it only these two people in a cyberbullying situation? Is it just the target and the bully?
Well, there could be more than one bully. There could be more than one target. It could be a group of friends targeting one specific person. It could be one bully targeting more than one person. I mean, I think it could be both.
And then there's also the people that are kind of on the periphery or the side, right? So they're not the bully, they're not the target, but they're kind of near the situation. Can you share with us about those, Mrs. Bueno Cruz?
Yes, so we have two different people here. We have a bystander and an upstander. A bystander is someone who observes the situation or the conflict or unacceptable behavior, but does not take part in it. So this is the person who's kind of on the side. They don't really say anything. They don't really take part of the bullying. They're kind of just watching, kind of just observing.
Right, and they might be thinking, I don't want to get involved.
Yes.
Right?
They don't want to say anything. I'm not getting involved. That's the bystander. And I know some of us have probably been the bystander a lot of the time. Then we have the upstander. This is the person who stands up for someone else. They support that person. So the person who's getting bullied, the upstander might step in and say, hey, stop. Why are you being mean? Leave them alone, whether it's through a text message or an actual person saying something to someone else. So two different people, the bystander who kind of just stays off to the side, doesn't want anything to do with it, or the upstander, the one who stands up for someone else.
And when we're learning about this, what we want to challenge you guys to do is, if you've been a bystander in the past, if you're seeing this sort of behavior online, or if you're seeing it at school or in your neighborhoods, we want to encourage you to be an upstander. And we'll talk about ways that you can be an upstander and help support those that are being bullied. So we have a little bit of information to share about the reasons why cyberbullying occurs. And so, Mrs. Bueno Cruz, let's talk about this. So the first reason often is because someone's different. Someone acts or looks differently than others. And so it's very easy for bullies to be like, oh, wow, they dress differently than me, or maybe they eat different food, or can you think of other examples, Mrs. Bueno Cruz?
Yeah, look at what they're wearing. That's not cool. They're not wearing the same thing that I'm wearing. Another reason could be like, listen to the way they speak. So many different situations on why someone might cyberbully someone, or they took my boyfriend, they took my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is someone is angry or resentful toward another person. So for whatever reason, cyberbullying occurs.
Maybe so-and-so had a better grade on the test than I did, or so-and-so got the spot on the team that I wanted to be on, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one, someone is jealous. This all goes back to the whole relationship thing. I've seen this a lot in schools where I hear boys or girls arguing over a boyfriend or a girlfriend or someone that they like, someone that they think is cute. Is it natural for people to feel this way? Yes. But when you're being mean or angry or jealous towards another person because of a boyfriend or a girlfriend, that should not be a reason why you should be hurting or making fun of someone else, or in this case, cyberbullying them on Snapchat or Instagram or in the DMs just because of someone being jealous.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, someone feels bad because he or she has been bullied. So let's say I was the bully and I became a bully because someone was bullying me. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling bad about it. I'm feeling angry about it. So now I'm going to take it out on someone else.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really important for us to know. It took me a long time to realize that when people are being mean to me or being unpleasant, often it's just because someone's been mean to them and they're kind of like passing it on. Right. And so I take it upon myself and saying, oh, I'm not going to pass this on. I'm going to turn the other cheek, as you'd say, right? To say it stops with me. And realizing when people are being mean to you, it's more of a reflection on them than it is on you, that they can't accept that you're different. They can't accept that you are achieving good things. So don't feel like because someone is targeting you, that means that you're lesser or that you deserve to be bullied. No one deserves to be treated like this.
No, not at all.
And so ways to respond. So maybe this has happened to you, or maybe you see it happen to others, but here are some tools for you. What should you do if you're getting cyberbullied? And so one, you can block the bully. So just block them, get rid of them. If they're doing things online that are inappropriate, and any sort of cyberbullying would be inappropriate, you can report them. And so reporting them would cause there to be a case opened about them. And then whether or not the app decides to get rid of their account or deactivate their account, that's up to the app. But that's another tool you can use.
Yes.
Did you want to share the rest of those, and Mrs. Bueno Cruz?
Sure. Taking a screenshot of messages. So I know some of you are probably thinking, well, if I take a screenshot, they're going to know that I screenshotted this. Mm. Or some of you might be thinking, well, if I do that, then I'm going to be a snitch. I'm going to be considered a snitch. It's not, you're not a snitch. It has nothing to do with being a snitch. It's about letting someone know, which are the next two bullet points, talk to a friend or tell a trusted adult. It's letting someone know that you feel like you are in a situation where you are being emotionally hurt, mentally hurt, and letting someone know to help you get out of the situation or to let the bully know, like, hey, that's not okay what you're doing. You're hurting someone else. And
Right.
sometimes I think the bullies don't realize that. I really don't. I think the bullies need to be called out or need to be let known, hey, what you're doing is not okay. So letting someone know, taking a screenshot, letting a trusted adult or a friend know, so that you could be safe and be able to talk to someone about this, letting them know your feelings and
Mhm.
what it is that you're feeling.
And I also think it's really important for you to take screenshots of anything that would be cyberbullying, because that people are able to delete their messages. So if you need to prove that this has
Yes.
happened, you need to have your proof there, because
Yes.
it could very easily be like, oh, I didn't say that. But if you
Yep.
have the screenshots, that's your proof right there that they can get the discipline or whatever sort of punishment that they might get for
Yeah,
cyberbullying.
good point, Mr. Matt.
Hmm. And so,
Okay.
say you're seeing cyberbullying online, what should you do to be an upstander instead of a bystander? So you might reach out to that person. So if I see Mrs. Bueno Cruz online and people are commenting mean things on her post, I can reach out to her and be like, Mrs. Bueno Cruz, I'm seeing these things happening. Are you okay? Right? And just like reach out to them and say, I see this happening. And then Mrs. Bueno Cruz, she might want to tell me, maybe she doesn't, but if she's going to confide in me, I'm going to listen to her. And I think that's the really important part, right? Sometimes we want to jump to action and like solve the problem. But when someone's cyberbullied, sometimes they just need someone to talk to and someone to listen to them, because it hurts a lot to be cyberbullied. And so to have someone listen to you and hear what you're saying and hear how you're feeling, that can help that person feel so much better.
Right. And it also goes back to, again, letting someone know, informing a teacher, a coach, maybe a parent. If you can't go to your parents, maybe go to your friend's parents, some trusted adult to let them know what's going on. Hey, Mr. Matt, I saw someone posted something really mean on his post. I don't think that it's nice what they're doing. Can you look into it? I don't, they're saying some really mean things, some hurtful things. Reaching out to someone to let them know, that's showing that you're being an upstander. You're standing up for your friend, or maybe they're not even your friend. It's,
Mm-hmm.
just standing up for someone.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is encouraging the target not to respond or retaliate. Ugh, so many of us get caught up into that. I know so many of you get caught up into that. It's hard not to respond to what someone is doing online. So for example, if someone is arguing on a post, and someone says something like, oh, you're ugly. And then somebody responds back, well, you're ugly too. Well, no, now your mom's ugly. Well, your whole family's ugly. Just going back and forth. Try to encourage others or yourself, the target, not to respond or retaliate.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least, encourage the target to reach out to a trusted adult. We keep repeating that because it's really, really important that you or the target reach out to get the help that they need, and just be able to trust someone to help in the situation so that the cyberbullying stops.
Right. And so something we've mentioned before was this idea of empathy. And so we want to define this for you guys. And maybe you've heard this term before, but we want to make sure everyone's on the same page here. So empathy, what that means is it's this idea of imagining the feelings that someone else is experiencing. So to empathize with someone who's being cyberbullied, to be like, wow, maybe you don't know what it feels like to be a victim of, or a target of cyberbullying, to imagine how it feels to have people saying unkind things to you or people piling on online, right? And I always use this expression, like to walk a mile in someone else's shoes, right? Um, we know that not everyone's experience is like our own, and so it's really important for us to show empathy, because if we don't care about how others are feeling or what they're going through, it's really not going to help the situation.
Right. And I think sometimes it's hard for people to feel what someone else is experiencing because it's not happening to them. But I
Mm-hmm.
want you to really, really try and think about that. Like if you see something happening, if you see the cyberbullying, ask yourself, like, if this were me, how would I feel? How would I respond? Or usually what I tell students is, do you have a little brother or sister, a little niece or nephew or cousin, if this were happening to them, how would you feel? You would be very upset. You would be very hurt that this was happening to someone that you really love and care for.
I think that's a big thing too. I feel like it's easy for us to not care about the people that we don't know, right? So maybe I'm not friends with that person. Maybe I think this person, I don't really know much about them, so why should I care about them? And I think that's just the very fact that we should look out for each other and have empathy for everyone, because we don't know everyone's story. And so it's really important that we support each other. So we have one last activity before we end our session today. So we have an example of a cyberbullying situation, and we're going to just talk through who is the target, who's the bully, and what should the target do to get the help that she needs, right? And so let's talk about this story. So I'll read the first paragraph, and then we'll discuss a little bit. Right. So Sandra, that's our person of this story. Sandra is planning a birthday party. Her parents have set a limit of 15 kids, so she can't invite everyone she'd like. Two kids who were not invited, Jesse and Maya, overhear the plans. They decide to spread mean rumors about Sandra using an anonymous messaging app. They say things like, Sandra is so not cool, not sure why anyone would go to her filthy house. I heard Sandra is having fruit instead of cake. Yuck. Sandra is totally boring, and I don't know why anyone would go to her party. So, Mrs. Buena Cruz, what do we have here?
Yeah, that's not cool at all. So unfortunately, the two kids who weren't invited are feeling a little hurt. Even though they're reacting in a way that's mean, I think they're hurt that they weren't invited to the party. And they probably think that Sandra intentionally did that. She purposely did that. So because they're hurt, they are reacting by saying these mean things about Sandra.
Right. And they don't know for sure. Right. And just because they were invited, does it make it okay for them to say these things?
Not at all.
No. And probably Sandra wanted them at the party. Right. And she just couldn't invite anyone. Right. Okay, so they're saying these terrible things, and it's anonymous, so she doesn't know who's saying it either. Okay, next paragraph. They encourage the students who were invited to the party to add reasons to why Sandra isn't cool and tell them not to go to her party. When Sandra logs onto the app and sees the messages, her stomach sinks. She feels hurt and embarrassed and doesn't know who's posting the messages. She tells her parents she's sick so she won't have to go to school the next day. She even thinks about canceling her party.
Oh, that makes me sad.
It makes me really sad too. And I hope that you guys, as you're listening to this, like this could be anyone. This could be someone that goes to your school. It could be a classmate. And I would hope that you'd feeling empathy for this person, right? So she feels hurt. She feels embarrassed. She doesn't know who said this. It could be anyone saying these mean things. And so she's thinking, wow, is one of my friends not really my friends? She wants to cancel her party. She doesn't even want to go to school, right? And so let's talk about this. So here's what we know. So the target of the situation. Did you want to talk about this, Mrs. Bueno Cruz?
Yes. So obviously Sandra is the target. She's being cyberbullied by Jesse and Maya. She doesn't know that it's Jesse and Maya. But again, they're upset that they weren't invited to her party. So they're targeting Sandra by posting these messages that her party is going to be boring. Her house is filthy. Why would anybody want to go? Because it's not going to be a great party. Bystanders or the upstanders are other students who really haven't responded. So the bystanders are the people who really haven't responded and haven't really said anything about the post that Jesse and Maya have just posted. Mr. Matt, what would you do as a bystander if this were your friend?
If I was a bystander or an upstander?
Well, let's do both. The bystander.
So if I'm a bystander and I don't really know Sandra, maybe I know Jesse and Maya said it, but I don't want to rattle the cage. I'm not going to say anything. I'm afraid they'll come after me because I want to go to the party too, right? So it's kind of like this idea of self-preservation that you're just looking out for you. but we need to be aware that Sandra, we have to look out for Sandra too.
Right. Okay. So Mr. Matt,
Really
if you were the upstander,
mm-hmm.
what would you do in this situation?
I would probably talk to Sandra and I would just say, hey, I see these really mean things being said online. I just want to let you know that these aren't true and that I'm looking forward to your party and I'm going to go and I'm here to support you, even though these people are saying really mean things, but they are totally not true.
Do you think that it would be okay that you respond on those messages and say something like, hey guys, I don't know who you are, but what you're saying is really mean. I've been to Sandra's house. Her house isn't filthy.
I think it just depends on the situation because I know like nothing that's being said is positive there because sometimes people they don't like even like they won't respond to reason, right? And they feel the way they like we know they're acting in a way that isn't logical. And so I feel like in this situation, I probably wouldn't respond. I wouldn't engage with them. I would just try to support Sandra, be like, hey, forget about them. They're not cool, that kind of thing. Like the way they're acting is not okay. But I mean, people have different ideas, right?
Right. Well, not only that, if you were to respond, that might egg Jesse and Maya to respond back, where there could be an argument going back and forth.
And so I think we've discussed a lot of what these questions were. So we talked about number one, who's in each role. We talked about how Sandra would feel and how would your feelings be same or different. I feel like I'd feel very similar to how Sandra is. Why do we think Jesse and Maya acted the way they did? They didn't get invited to the party. It hurt their feelings. Does that make it okay for them to say those things?
No.
Certainly not. And then we talked about what would you do to try to stop the cyberbullying? I would talk to Sandra. And I don't know what would you do to stop the cyberbullying? Because I think I'm just worried about Sandra. What would you do, Mrs. Bueno Cruz?
If Jesse and Maya were my friends, I don't think I would call them out where everybody could see. I think I would private message them and say, hey, why are you guys being mean to Sandra? That's not cool. Or maybe I would suggest to Jesse and Maya, like, hey, why don't you reach out to Sandra and ask her why you guys weren't invited?
Yeah, because if they got that information that she just had to like keep it down to 15 people, maybe they would understand why and that would change how they feel, right?
Yep. Yep.
And then how could you be an upstander in this situation if you were one of Sandra's friends? I think the idea of talking to her, or if she's feeling really bad, talking to a trusted adult and making them aware of the situation.
Right. Yeah.
So we just want to end this session very quickly with you guys, but we want to empower you to be an upstander for those that you see online that are cyberbullied, right? Especially if they're people that you know personally, people you go to school with, maybe people that live in your neighborhood. So we want you to be reminded that you are kind and you are courageous. There is enough negativity in the world. We want you to add to the world in positive ways. Anything else you'd like to add, Mrs. Bueno Cruz?
No, I think you hit it on. Be kind, be courageous.
Hit it right there.
Yeah.
We will see you for the next lesson of digital citizenship. We wish you well, guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Bye. All right.
Oh my God. Are you still recording?